Hey guys, welcome to Pre-Calculus, College Algebra from Northwest State, is technically what this class is called. So we are going to jump right in talking about exponents and radicals, which is Lesson P.2. It's from the prerequisite chapter, Section 2. If you'd like, you can print off these notes and fill them out with me, or you can do it on notebook paper, whatever suits you the best. So first thing we're going to do is just review some of our exponent rules. So starting out with some vocabulary, if you have an exponent, the big number is called the base, and then of course this is your exponent. Your textbook on page 14 lists all of the properties of exponents. That is a review from Algebra 1. You reviewed them again in Algebra 2, so I don't really feel the need to go over those again. But if you need a quick reference, page 14 is the place to go. So we are going to evaluate these expressions, and just I'm going to highlight a couple things that occasionally go wrong, mistakes occasionally people make. The first one is this -3 to the fourth. Okay, you need to do order of operations on this, and the first thing is you need to do the exponent. You need to do 3 to the fourth power. So 3 to the fourth power is 81. And then you worry about that negative. You can almost think of it as -1 times 3 to the fourth power. So you do the exponent first, and then you worry about the negative. So this is exactly the answer. Now, B is very similar, but very different. What -3, the quantity -3 to the fourth power means is that we're taking -3 times -3 times -3 times -3. Of course, when you multiply 3 4 times, you get 81. And notice, since there's an even number of them, the negatives are all going to cancel, and you'll get a positive 81. So what I want you to remember from this is be careful when you're plugging these things into your calculator. If you want your calculator to do this, you have to tell it that. I have a lot of students who mean to do -3 to the fourth, exactly like this, that put it in their calculator like this, and then they are like, well, my calculator says it's -81. Make sure you're telling the calculator the correct things. Okay, in C, we have 3 squared times 3 to the first. When we're multiplying these, we get to add exponents. So 2 plus 1 is 3, so this is 3 cubed, which is just 27. And when we divide things with exponents, as long as we have the same base, we are allowed to subtract. So 5 minus 8 is -3. Now, you don't need a calculator to evaluate this. The way we get rid of negative exponents is we move them into the denominator, or if they're already in the denominator, you move them to the numerator. So this is 1 over 3 cubed, which is 1/27. All right, we are going to move on to the next one. Sorry about that. We want to evaluate these expressions for x equals 4. So what that means is we are going to plug in 4 for x. First thing we want to do is get rid of that negative exponent. So remember that negative out front, this negative, think of it as like -1 times this thing. So I'm going to leave that -1 there, and we're going to drop 4 squared down. When you drop down to the denominator, you don't have the negative anymore, so this will be -1 over 16. All right, we're going to plug in 4 over here. Okay, order of operations, we're going to do our exponent first. So we need to do -4 to the fourth. And 4 to the fourth power is going to be 256. And it's going to be positive because we've taken a negative number and raised it to an even power. And then 256 divided by 4 is 64. All right, now something else that we're going to be doing a lot of is simplifying expressions. Okay, so we just want to kind of pull these apart and get this all simplified. When we simplify something, we don't want any negative exponents. We only want one of each exponent whenever possible. So let's take a look. A, we have just our numbers. It's -2 and a -1. So we want to multiply those. And now we're going to look at our x's. X to the -2 and x to the fourth. We're going to add those exponents. So -2 plus 4 is x squared. And then y cubed and y to the first. We're going to add those exponents. So our answer is -2x squared y to the fourth. that is as simple as we can get this thing. Everything's a positive exponent. There's no repeats in our variables, so we're good. Okay, for B, there's a couple ways we can approach this. You guys remember, right, that anything to the 0 power is going to be 1. That's one of the properties on page 14 in your textbook. So I could distribute this 0 exponent, but I'm not going to. I'm taking this entire thing to the 0 power. Well, anything to the 0 power is just 1. So that's 1. Now, if you forgot that and you ended up distributing that 0 power to everything, you would get 4 to the 0. You multiply your exponents, a to the 0, b to the 0. Well, those are all 1. So you still get the answer of 1, but take the shortcut when you can. Okay, C, we are going to distribute this cube to everything here, and then the square to everything here. Now, you only distribute those things to things that are in their parentheses, like this square doesn't go over to the first parenthesis. That's not good. So we have -5 cubed, z cubed, and z squared. -5 cubed is -125, and we're going to add our exponents, z to the 5th. And the last one, we are going to distribute this square to everything, top and bottom. So we end up with 3 squared, and we're going to multiply these exponents. So x to the 8th, multiply x to the 4th, and y to the 4th. Okay, so obviously 3 squared is 9. And now with the x's, you have an x on top and an x on bottom, so we want to subtract those exponents. 8 minus 4 is +4, so x to the 4th, you're going to leave that on top, and y to the 4th will stay on the bottom. In our next video clip, we will take a look at a few other examples and when this is used.